We're going to start a program using JGrass. So after you open up JGrass, go up to File, New, Java. So now we're going to create our program. The first thing I'd like for you to do is we're going to do a comment line. And the way we do a comment line is we're going to do the two parallel lines that are a slight angle. And I want you to put your name, and then a return, and a new comment line. And we're going to call this, we'll call this my first program and what does it do? It is going to simply print out a message, which prints out a message. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Now the comment line, the computer doesn't read that. The compiler knows that that's just human speak. So the first thing we're going to do, and you should write a little comment about this to help you, is that we're going to create a class. So the name of our class is just going to be hello. And the way that we do that is we're going to say that it's a public class, and the name of our class is hello. After the word hello, I'm going to type in 2 curly braces, and then I'm going to put my return in the center, and I'm going to double click. The reason why is we have to have an opened and a closed curly brace at the beginning and end of our class, or we'll get a compilation error, and sometimes they're kind of hard to find which one's open and which one's closed, especially we have a lot of different commands in there. So by convention, my next line I'm going to space 2 in, and I'm only going to have a main method. So I'm just going to put a comment here, and I'm going to write create main method. So the main method is what allows us to actually run our code and get something to happen. So my main method, I'm going to say that again is public static void main, and this line is pretty much the same all the time. String. After string, I'm going to use brackets, not the curly braces, or you'll get an error. I'm going to use brackets, space, arg, and I've got to close that parentheses. Again, I'm going to do 2 curly braces. I'm going to put my return in between, and then I'm going to do 2 spaces underneath the word public to type actually what my method is. What is it that I want the computer to do, the execution or the main method? What is it I want the computer to do? I want it to do System.out.print. So this is my method, and I want it to say hello world. Now because hello world is a string, I'm going to put in quotation marks. Now a common error that I know I forget to do is at the end of that line, I'm going to put a semicolon. So your screen should look like this. So I'm going to go ahead and compile it, and you'll see when I go to compile it, it's saying, hey, wait a minute, you've got to save this before we can compile it. So yes, I want to save it. So I'm going to click Save. It's telling me where it kind of wants to save it by default. I don't want to save it there. I want to save it in my folder, and I want to save it, let's see here, it's going to be under Documents, and I created a computer science folder, so I'm going to put it in there. And if you have another folder like Chapter 1, you would put it into Chapter 1. So JGrass was very nice, and it gave us the file name. I want to look at that closely. Notice hello. It's the same exact name as my class, spelled exactly the same. Class names are capitalized, and then .java. Make sure you put .java at the end. Don't expect the computer to automatically do it for you, and go ahead and save it. Okay. So when I compile it, I've saved it, so now I have to compile it. So I'm going to push this plus sign, which is the compile, and you'll see that it's actually gone through and it's looking through the code and it's like, good, everything's good to go. So we don't get confused with the compilation message and we want to see our run message. I'm going to push clear over here to clear that out, because I know there's no errors now in my code. So now I'm going to go up to the little man that's running and I'm going to run this code, and you can see it printed out Hello World, which was exactly what it is that I wanted it to do. But let's say, oh, I noticed I wanted to do Hello World with an exclamation point. So I'm going to go back up to my code and I'm going to put an exclamation point. And if I go to run it again, it's going to say, wait a minute, you need to compile it. If I just go to continue run, notice it didn't do the change of code. I have to go back every time I change my code. I have to compile it, which will then let the computer know, okay, I'm saving it, I've done something different, and now when I run it, notice it has the exclamation point at the end.